Ah, do you do you feel that? Do you feel that? That that is the feeling of relief that DC fans across the world are feeling right now. Relief. Because for 10 years, 10 glorious years, we sat back and we watched as Marvel built the most comprehensive and beautiful cinematic universe that we have ever seen in film and media. And we wondered when would it be our time? And we had some stumbles, we had some falls, we had some struggles. But finally, we have arrived at the starting line. 15 years late, but I am happy to finally be here. So, if you are an OG on this channel, I am a I am a DC fan. Okay? And I have sat through the trials and tribulations of non-connected movies, failed launches, attempted reboots, the collapse of the animated universe, the canceling of Young Justice. I have been through it. We have been through it. We have been struggling. Okay? We've been struggling out here. DC fans have been in the trenches for 15 years. Ever since Justice League Unlimited came off TV. I'd say we've been in the trenches for 25 years and we just didn't fucking realize it. But finally, some good news. Because when Discovery took over WB, we sat back and we were wondering, this guy's talking about slashing the budgets for everything. Lo and behold, looks as though DC has a plan. Because the slashing of budgets, the getting rid of the Arrowverse that I feel as though had peaked around 3 years ago, the restructuring of the DC brand has brought us to DC Studios. Finally, we've arrived at DC Studios. We've arrived at DC Studios the exact same way I've been saying for the last 10 years, which is DC needs to coalesce and do exactly what Marvel did. And this is where I say thank you to Marvel. Because a few years ago, you guys hired one James Gunn. And you tasked that one James Gunn with building the cosmic side of the MCU. And then you fired him. And who picked him up but DC to make the Suicide Squad? And from there, a relationship blossomed. And that relationship is finally bearing fruit since both James Gunn, and I forgot the other dude's name, Peter Safran, have both taken over the newly created, as CEOs, the newly created DC Studios. And they'll be in charge of the movie side, the animation side, and the TV show side. And I am 100% there for it. On the case of James Gunn, I do have to ask a question. What demon did he make a deal with? Like, I definitely feel as though on his way out the door at DC, he stopped by Mephisto's room and was like, look, I'll sell you my soul if you allow me to restart. Because not only was James Gunn at the top of his form with Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and then proved to be top of his form still with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but he was driven out of Marvel. Then he was driven out of Hollywood. He was canceled. He was being blacklisted. And for whatever reason, that door at DC remained open. And he strolled right on in. And when he strolled on in, people rallied around him. And his friends rallied around him. And then he got brought back to Marvel to finish Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And then he finished, he's working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But once that's done, he's done. He's not coming back to Marvel. No grand working about the cosmos in the universe. None of that. Marvel is moving in the direction of Kang and Time, and James Gunn is moving in the direction of DC and finally getting the DC brand off its feet. And if it's one thing I can say about James Gunn, his characters are typically true to form. Peacemaker, fantastic. Took a completely obscure character, made him so complex and fucking lovable that I have faith that under his view, under his leadership, we may actually get a hopeful Superman movie. We may actually get a hopeful version of the Flash. I know. I still don't like Ezra Miller. I'm 100% sitting around waiting for us to move past Ezra Miller, but I've accepted the fact that for whatever reason we've decided to stick with the man. But maybe we'll get Ray Fisher back as Cyborg. Maybe we'll get a Justice League. Maybe we'll get a better Wonder Woman. Or at least get a better director for Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman 3. I'm sorry, my PTSD from Wonder Woman 1984 kicked in accidentally. But I'm 100% happy for this. Like, let's go. That direction. Come on. Like, it's taken 15 years. James Gunn's arrived. We can he's put us in his backpack, and he's gonna carry us up the comic book mountain, because I'm 100% ready for it. I'm tired of these good DC films that aren't connected in any way, shape, or form. I know a lot of people will say these days that, well, comic book films don't really need to be connected, and that is true. But I would prefer to have a connected universe so that I can have a Justice League, so that we can take on Darkseid. I know we low-key teased in the Snyderverse that we were going to fight that man, but I've let go and I've buried the hope and love I had for the Snyderverse, and I have moved on. I'm ready for a new relationship. And if my new relationship is James Gunn's version of the DC universe, I am 100% there for it. So, comment below. Let me know how you feel about James Gunn basically being a co-CEO of the new DC studios, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.